It was an eventful week that started strong for PlayStation, but kinda went downhill from there. We also learned what the secret Ubisoft game is they plan to launch in the next 12 months, and there will likely be a big surprise release very soon. Thanks for joining the weekly news roundup that I post every Sunday here on the channel. Let's immediately start with Ubisoft, because it's a yearly tradition now that we get an update on the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake around the Summer Game Fest period. In June 2021, we got a post saying Prince of Persia the Sands of Time remake will not be in Ubisoft Forward, and in May last year they announced that the development would now be led by Ubisoft Montreal instead of Ubisoft Pune and Ubisoft Mumbai. This remake was announced in September 2020 with a January 2021 release date, but after the feedback on the trailer they decided to delay it, and now almost 3 years later we got another update saying that it's still in the early stage and players should not expect to hear more about the game this year. And another part of the blog post notes that they're still building up the team 3 years later. Like, this gotta take a real long time, and I wonder if it will be worth it in the end. They're at least trying to do it justice, I guess. And by the way, beyond the Sands of Time, there are currently no plans to remake any other Prince of Persia title. I will of course next year around this time let you know what the new update is, because I'm sure they will have another blog post. Now, in the previous Sunday video I talked about another large game Ubisoft has planned for before April 2024. We see their full lineup right here, with of course the other big titles being Assassin's Creed Mirage and Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Well, Kotaku now reports that according to sources, that additional game is Ubisoft's open world Star Wars game, and that it's currently targeting a projected release date in early 2024. Okay, plot twist. So this is that game from the Division 2 team that was announced in January 2021, and back then it was still in the very early stages of development. Like, we haven't seen anything of this story-driven open world Star Wars game yet. That's why we'll see some random Star Wars trailers and concept art in this section. I really thought this would be a 2025 title at the earliest. Also because Avatar is being made by a separate team but inside the same studio, and that's still not out yet. This started development in 2017, so is way longer in the works. Kotaku also notes that two sources tell them that the development on Project Helix, which seems likely to include some form of interplanetary space travel, okay, that sounds awesome, hasn't been progressing well. Okay, great. Still, hopes are high internally that the game, when it comes out, could be Ubisoft's first non-Assassin's Creed blockbuster hit in some time. But they also say that the company's goal to release the game within the current fiscal year, so before April 2024, is probably too ambitious. They still expect it to ultimately slip to sometime in the following fiscal year, which runs from April 2024 through March 2025. During the investor call, Ubisoft did say that they were confident that the titles from their lineup would hit, so including the Star Wars game, but again, I don't believe them either. Still, this news does mean that we finally get to see the title during their Ubisoft Forward event on June 12th. I'm still hoping that these Division 2 developers are doing a Mandalorian game. I think that would be really cool, but let me know what you want to see from this open world Star Wars title from Ubisoft in the comments. We will find out soon enough. I already did a separate video on the PlayStation Showcase where I share my impressions and what I think went wrong. A link to that in the video description. Totally check it out if you haven't already, but luckily that was just the start of many events. So yes, Ubisoft Forward, Xbox, but first we get the kickoff of Summer Game Fest. And we now have some news on what we can expect during that June 8th show. Of course, if you like the video so far, then leaving a like would be awesome, and subscribe because I post a news roundup video like this every Sunday. So we now learned that there will be at least 3 or 4 big announcements planned for the Jeff Keighley kickoff show. Last year we had the Naughty Dog section where they announced The Last of Us Part 1 with a release date, and the year before that they got the reveal for Tiny Tina's Wonderland, and of course ended with the Elden Ring gameplay reveal and release date, which was a pretty big deal. So it seems like we will have a couple more of those things on that level. They already announced that the world premiere gameplay for Mortal Kombat 1 will be there, just like a new look at Lies of P, the Bloodborne type Pinocchio game that will be day 1 on Game Pass. Looks pretty awesome. And there will also be a long gameplay demo of Alan Wake 2 that looked very promising in the Sony showcase. Game is out October 17th. But yeah, those do not count as big reveals because we already know about them, while of course having something like the Elden Ring DLC show up would be big, even though it still seems far away looking at Bandai Namco's financials. It seems like it's an early 2024 thing at the earliest. Maybe we see Judas again from Ken Levine, that was also shown during the Game Awards. Take-Two still has an eagerly anticipated new IP from one of our premier studios planned for later this fiscal year. It could be Judas, again as I mentioned in the previous Sunday video, maybe we see that again with the release date, or if it's something else, they might reveal it here at Summer Game Fest. But a DLC that is way closer and that could also be a big announcement is regarding Cyberpunk. We already know that we will get new details about the Phantom Liberty expansion and also see a lot of new footage in June. But the rumors got even crazier. Polish podcasters Rock and Boris, who are known to have sources inside CD Projekt Red, noted that a number of people from CDPR and the Polish game dev community confirmed to Boris that the expansion will come out a month after the date was announced. With old info even suggesting that it would already launch in June, which would of course be pretty wild. So it seems like they will reveal way more of the DLC on June 8th and then maybe even launch it a few weeks later. And it's pretty interesting how Marcin from CDPR quote tweeted the leak, only saying that they don't comment on rumors, while normally if stuff like this is fake, they would have said it outright to manage expectations. So I can see it happen. Have it launch before Starfield, as I predicted before, is also ideal for everyone, so that could be a big announcement, but I'm sure Jeff has some other stuff that I can't think of right now. Your thoughts are of course, as always, welcome in the comments. A game that we should not expect anytime soon is The Last of Us multiplayer. So first, Naughty Dog put up a statement saying that as the development continued, we've realized that what is best for the game is to give it more time. But what actually happened, according to Jason Schreier, is that Bungie raised questions about The Last of Us multiplayer project's ability to keep players engaged for a long period of time, which led to the reassessment. So of course, Sony acquired Bungie to help them with their live service titles, and seems like they recently checked every game in development, including Factions, and came to these conclusions. So now a small group remains on The Last of Us multiplayer project while the company reevaluates the direction. While the game has not been cancelled, many of its developers have been moved to other projects. Which of course a major red flag. Jeff Grubb also chimes in saying that earlier this year they planned to put this in the showcase. At that time it was having problems. All I've heard about this game is that it looks a lot like a studio's first live service game and that Naughty Dog wanted to do things its way, which maybe did not bode well for Factions. So kinda getting Avengers Anthem vibes from this. I think it's sad if this means that we will likely not get to experience some of the stories they had in mind in San Francisco with a new set of characters. Nothing wrong with launching a multiplayer game that you can just finish and then move on, but maybe the problems are much bigger than that. I always had hope for this project because looking at the other live service games that Sony announced, they all look pretty generic, nothing new to see here, while this could have been something really cool. A co-op, multiplayer, maybe some PvP in there, in the Last of Us world. I think it could have been really cool, but maybe we will never see it come out. To end on some good news, they did confirm that they have other games in development, including a brand new single player experience. We look forward to sharing more soon. Really with this Last of Us multiplayer game maybe never coming out, I think it's even more likely that that single player title is The Last of Us Part 3. Do one more game in the series so the HBO show can also go on for a long time, and then after that finally move on to a new IP. And I can also still see them do a Part 2 PS5 version at some point. But yeah, I'm still sad about the multiplayer title. Also curious to hear your take in the comments, and you can of course also leave a question there that I then might answer in the next Sunday video. Last week I got a question from Sean asking anything new on Far Cry or Ghost Recon. There are games in both series in the works, but they're taking their time, as they should be, with Ghost Recon seemingly planned for 2025, and that is also the targeted release date for a Far Cry 7 mainline title and a separate multiplayer experience. So then 2024 for Ubisoft will be Assassin's Creed Red as the big headliner, and probably Star Wars as well, as it will likely get pushed. And then 2025 Ghost Recon and Far Cry and the Assassin's Creed Invictus multiplayer game, the Splinter Cell remake somewhere in between. If these titles are solid, Ubisoft is really going to get back on track, I think. Now this coming week, it's all about Diablo. The game launched in early access June 1st or June 2nd, depending on where you live, and I'm really looking forward to it. Like, expect a ton of coverage here on the channel, and some other videos as well as we get closer to the Summer Game Fest. Some exciting times, June will be pretty big, and of course, next Sunday there will be a news roundup video like this. So subscribe to not miss anything, a like would really help me out, and check out my PlayStation Showcase video and why I think it was pretty bad by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.